Okay, so we're back. I redid those 3 rows and there you go. Looks much better now, right? So you can see here where we did the decreasing. Looks a little bit puckered, but again, that will even out once I wash it. But now the edge is much more smooth, which is what we want. Same thing on this side, although not quite as good. So this is where the customization comes in, right? So if you make a mistake, like I just showed you, no big deal, just rip it out. Even here, I could have just done, actually, that's how I fixed it on this side. I could have done one more right in the edge, and then I would have a nice smooth edge like here. I'm not going to worry about it.
I ended up going back to fix it because it was going to bother me forever if I didn't.
So I just want to get, I guess the point I want to make across is that, or the point I want to get across is that these don't have to be perfect, right? They're all going to have what we call design features. They're all going to be slightly different, slightly a little bit wonky. You might come up, you can kill yourself to, I could have ripped that out again and reknit it again or recrocheted it again. It's like, what, 5 minutes worth of work? Not a big deal. But what you have to think about is what you want to get out of it. So you can keep going and going and going until you get this absolutely perfect. But what's the end? What's the end goal? What's the end result? And I wanted to show you again this just for kicks. So this is still not 100% straight. Okay. All right. Nope. I wanted to, that's as far as I can zoom out. Okay. All right. We'll do it this way. Okay. So we tuck, when I close this, I just tuck the edges a little bit, right? Because we're trying to protect the corners. And then we flip this up. And this is what I wanted to show you. So when we do that, remember, so we already talked about how the corners, because of this extra fabric, and that extra fabric is not here, you're going to have the little, what do you call it? It just, well, it's extra fabric, so it's gonna look a little bit bumpy. But this is what I wanted to show you. So remember, so I recrocheted this side just so that you could see what it looks like if it is a completely straight line. And here I left it so that we came in, right? So it's the same. This was just a straight up back and forth flap until we got to the corner. Then we did this decrease, and then we have the flap here. On this side, we did straight up until we got to the edge. We did this decrease, and then I did one extra. I just picked up that extra stitch, if you recall. And this looks, hey, at first glance, it looks perfect, right? This looks really nice. Well, look what happens. So when we're flipping this over and folding it the way that you will, so this is what happens. So the side where we did the decrease and left it is perfect, lined up with the edge of the deck, whereas this side is hanging over the deck. Okay, so decide which way you want. it doesn't matter. And even at this point, you could leave it because, you know, yarn, you can block, as long as you're not using acrylic, you can block it and you can sort of actually shape it the way that you want. So either one of these, that's what I'm trying to tell you, is just don't be too focused on perfection here, because what's going to happen is we are going to put a trim, which is going to hide all of that uneven edge, okay? And it's just going to give us a beautiful edge. So, and then again, once we wash it and lay it out, it's going to just all even out. It's going to look beautiful. So I'm going to leave this.
Nope, I did not. I went back and fixed
in
it.
my own
And
life. I am
those
personally
are
practicing.
kind of the decisions you're going to make too as you go.
To
it's kind of what makes each of these unique.
Just to kind of
and
let things flow.
yeah, so do whatever
and
you feel
I want to show
is
you
best
how this
for
is going
you.
to turn out. And again, even once I'm done, even once I finish, once we finish it and we've done the edging and I've washed it and blocked it, if I don't like it, I'm just gonna rip it out, right? Rip out the part that I don't like and redo it. It's really not that much trouble, and you kind of have to decide on your own personality how that's going to work. Okay, so I'm gonna leave this the way it is just to show you, okay? Because I would rather that people actually finish a project, and then, then rather than just trying to never finishing because you're always trying to get it perfect. And if you're not a strong crocheter, then, the chances of it ever getting absolutely perfect or the way that it looks in the store is going to be pretty minimal, right? In times past, this would have driven me absolutely crazy. I would have ripped this back out, cut that purple yarn, and done, would never have had a color change there. Same thing here, the blue ended here. This would have just driven me absolutely wonky, but I'm not letting it, because it's a design feature. It's beautiful. If I wanted something that was store made, then I would go to the store and get the same thing that 5 million other people have. And instead, I'm going to have something that's unique to me. So without further ado, what are we going to do? I'm actually, so you have to decide how long you want the flap. How much more of this orange do I have? I still have a lot. Okay. I think I'm going to leave it here. Okay, so we're going to start with, if you want to do an extra one, you just have to decide how long you want the flap, right? How far down you want it to go. I'm going to leave it here. It's overlapping by, almost 2 inches. So I think that's fine, and I'm going to leave it there. All right, so what are we going to do? Okay, so we're going to do the edging. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to do a very simple one, which is basically just a single crochet, which is what you did down here, okay? So all you're going to do is you're going to go through your first V, grab the yarn, back out, and 1, 2, right? And then through the next V, grab the yarn, back out, okay? You can do all kinds of different edgings. This is just a very, very simple one, super quick for you to get. It's easy and fast, and it's good to help, especially if you haven't done this before, to just get you that success. And then the stars the limit in terms of what you can do, what types of edging you can do. You can do a picot edging, you can do another double crochet edging, you can do crab stitch. There's all kinds of different. So I'm just going to get to the end here, and then I'm going to show you what it looks like. You do want to do this with the right side facing you, which is the outside, right? That's when your deck is in there. This is the side that you're going to be looking at. So there we go. So it doesn't look all that different. It just looks like a shorter version of the rest. But I'll show you when we get to the side here what a difference it makes. When I was thinking about making this video, I was thinking about, how I have watched other videos, other tutorial videos in the past. When I was learning how to crochet in the first place, a few years ago, and knitting and whatnot. So I've watched a ton of videos. Some of the content creators here on YouTube are absolutely amazing. And, when I was thinking about how I would go about doing this tutorial, I thought about following along in some of their footsteps and just kind of showing, okay, this is just the perfect way to do it, or one perfect way to do it. And the problem is that people do make mistakes, right? Especially when you're learning a new skill, it's all about making those mistakes. So showing people what to do, or really how much to worry about any particular error or how to handle it is really empowering and helpful. Rather than just, the way I it doesn't look like the way that the tutorial showed, and I don't know why, and I don't know how to fix it, and I'm just going to throw this down and forget it. I'll just buy one. And that is disempowering, right? And that's happened lots of times to me. So it was really important for me to be able to talk about those things and to be able to go through and show you, okay, look, it doesn't have to be perfect. And this is why, and this is how you handle things. So I hope I've done that. That was my aim. If some of the errors that I left in here make you twitch, I'm sorry. But hopefully I've given you an idea of how to make things work. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there. All right, so look at this beautiful edge. As opposed to what the edge looks here, right? It looks like here it's pretty raw. And this just gives it a beautiful finish. I do really like using a contrasting color at the perimeter. And I've been doing that lately, actually, on quite a few of my decks, just because I really like it. So I'm going to finish that. So again, this is what the raw edge looks like, and we're going to see in a minute how that works. Anyway, so I hope that has provided you with some empowerment. I hope that's provided you with some ideas on how to introduce your own creativity. This was just a recipe for a very basic crocheted pouch, and there's no limit to what you can do. And I wasn't following any pattern. I just kind of made this myself, and I've done it different ways. So I've just shown you one way, which I thought would be the simplest way to get you started. If you have any questions or if you have any ideas, that you'd like to look at or talk about in more detail, then let me know. There's a big hole there. Okay, well, okay, we're getting to the edge here. And for those of you who are great crocheters, my humble apologies for my not so great skills, especially as I try to do this from behind a camera with arms extended. It looks kind of awkward. And I apologize for that. So the one thing I should say, actually, when you're doing this, when you are doing this this edging, make sure you're not doing it too tight, okay? Because if you do, then it's going to cinch everything in, and that is not what you're going to want to happen. Okay, we're coming up to where we started here. Right, we started right there, so I'm just going to go into that last one. And that's it. Okay, so oops, there we go. So let me just pull that for a second. All right. So how do the two sides compare? Remember, this one was the straighter side, which is, well, it looks straighter, right? And then this is the side where we decreased and then went straight up. So it's a bit more wavy in shape, but let's see what it looks like. So first I'm going to snip this yarn. Okay. And I will weave that in later. So here's the moment of, what's the moment? The moment of truth? The moment of truth is my deck doesn't want to go in there. That would be very sad. Those types of things have actually happened to me. All right. Fairly straight. All right. Can I zoom out again? Okay. I just realized my cup. I'm sorry if you're offended by the swearing. I thought it was funny. They do have mugs that say crochet instead of knitting. Crocheting is really knitting is really my expertise, or my love, and I'm much better at it than I am with crochet. Anyway, so here we are. Okay, so when we go to close it, we're slightly tucking that in. And the reason we do that is because if we don't, you don't have to. So if you don't tuck it in, you just fold the flap over, you know. This is what you get, right? So it does overlap a little bit. You could eliminate that. So remember that when we do add the trim, that actually adds to the width and to the depth, right? So remember that. So the way to fix this, if you didn't like, so if you don't care about, let's go back. The way that I typically tend to close these is to fold this in a little bit and then bring this down. For when I'm traveling, I don't typically do this at home, but you know, if I'm throwing this in my bag, then I'm definitely going to do that because I want to protect the edges. If it's just sitting on my shelf, I don't do that. I just do this. So this was the straight edge. The way to get rid of that is just to decrease more, right? So I would have done 1 or 2 more rows of decreases. Same thing on this side, and then you would have the flap the same width. Okay. And there you go. A very basic tarot pouch that you can crochet for yourself. Again, if you don't want this fabric, no big deal. Just remember this portion. Instead of when you're doing the walls of this thing, instead of crocheting around 3 sides, you're just going to crochet along the back, right? So you're going to go back and forth, back and forth. That will just give you the single flap. Just bear in mind that you may have an exposed edge, but you can address that by just dealing with just adding a trim over top of it. Okay, so there you have it. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Please do hit the like and subscribe button. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I'd love to see, if you try this out, I'd love to see what you come up with. In terms of closures, you can do multiple things. You can add buttons. So you can add buttons, and if you use small enough buttons, they can actually just go through the holes of these things, or you can decide in advance where the buttons are going to be, and then make sure you measure, and then you can actually just you can build those buttons in. Buttonholes in, sorry. Or you can do something like this, where, here, actually, let me show it on here. I had these pull tabs. I've had these for a long time, actually. And so, yeah, just feed it through. Right, so all I did was feed it through the edge, put it through itself, and that's it. And that becomes your buttonhole. So that's what I've been using lately, just because I have these available. So I think they come in packs of, I don't know, quite a few, maybe 20 or 30 on Amazon. In terms of the buttons, I just have trying to get it here. I have this little, I don't even know what came in this thing, but it's just a little box, I guess, and I've just put all the buttons that come off of different items, buttons that come with shirts, fun buttons that I've seen in stores, even just Walmart or whatnot. Throw them in there, and then I try to match them to the particular deck. Here's another one. I use the same type of closure. Sometimes I use one. I tend to use one of these pull tabs where I have a point, but where I have a square closure like this, I tend to use two. Again, it's just my own preference. This was an experiment to pull the tabs through the back of the fabric, so when it's closed it doesn't show. I'm going to take this out though because I don't like how it wrinkles the fabric this way. So there we go. I don't like how it wrinkles the fabric this way, so I'm going to fix this. I'm going to move the buttons down, and then I'm just going to pull the tabs through the fringe here, through the top. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. It's you know, trial and error. You do what you want to do. Here's another one. It's just a fun, this is a knit one. So I will do a video for a knitted cozy tarot deck pouch holder soon. These are taking a little bit of time because I'm doing them in spurts and bits, and I'm actually, you know, crocheting or knitting along with you as I go through, just so that you're seeing a consistent thing. And I do want to finish the ones that I have started. So just to give you an idea, I've got this pouch started for my Vintage Wisdom Oracle. And then I have this pouch started. This is also a crochet one for my Divine Feminine article. But, and then the knitted ones take longer. So that video will be a little bit longer in coming. Okay. So I would love to see how you make your tarot bags, and if you do any based on this video, please tag me so that I see it. I would love to see it. I'd love to know you know, what decks you're doing them for, and what yarns you're using. Yeah, I would really love to see it. And if you do any modifications or whatnot, I'd love to see what you do. So please do comment below, and let me know. I'll show this, you know, in a future video when I put the final closure on. But I've just shown you how to do it. I basically just sew on a button where I want the button, and then put these closures on. So, okay. So I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.